parties have never really been my thing. They're always such a hassle and take so much time off my day. Other prior plans and commitments cancel, all for the sake of playing along with others.
Welcome, welcome everyone.
I've hated them, even as a child.
Please, make yourselves at home.
But Mom often insisted on dressing me up for these when I was a little boy. She'd slick my hair back, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urge me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it can be, it was all for the sake of keeping up appearances, pretending to play nice with others. To some extent, lies and intrigues have already surrounded me, long before I've chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there are easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I've always managed to sneak my CD player along back then. I kept myself into my music, had my own little world, until I learned to observe. Sure, all it took was Mom confiscating my player during one social function. But when left with nothing better to do, watching people appeared a much interesting activity. More so than feigning a curious face while a snot-nosed kid babbled on about his shiny new toy. In fact, it still is. It's a simple matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of wrist alone can tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Wright's housewarming. However, when there's actual reason to go to them, I figure they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Oh, right. So real quick, you'll get a kick out of this. Let's pull up his relationship tree. So before I push this, I want you guys to think, how twisted can this look? So think about it. 3, 2, 1, boom. Luke, Marianne, Hannah. They are a fraction of the other three. So I know these three are supposed to be his friends and everything, but damn, he has an extremely low opinion of them. Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'll think the man will want to remain inconspicuous after his name has been linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxborn. Granted, most of it could have gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but it still doesn't make him any less suspect. Yet here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard, although having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the damn spotlight, constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found in his own party. He's likely waiting for an opportunity, a grand entrance. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends, how close he has creeped into the lives of the people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch you can't be rid of. First Professor Clark, then there's Isabella. I've also spotted Z-Man around here a while ago, and now there's also Rebecca.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
There will also be hell to pay if you so much as harm a hair on either Zach or Rebecca's heads. He might have already done so with Isabella, and I wasn't able to do a single thing to keep her safe. I can't let the same mistake happen. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. Any untoward action will tarnish his glorious reputation with his peers, and he values appearances more than anything. Prefers to do whatever disposal necessary as quietly as possible, away from the limelight. That doesn't necessarily mean he's incapable of doing so, more than in fact, and on the off chance he pulls a stunt. I won't be responsible for my actions.
Those guys know what they're doing. They're handling cars worth more than your precious Shirley.
For Zachary's and Rebecca's sakes, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming, even though something tells me it's anything but. This despite freely sharing a brief laughter or two with the latter, with a conversation that called for it. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. With Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come of it. I simply can't let my guard down here, more so when nearby a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes...
Chief?
My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that the man staying a few meters away from me himself handed himself a year ago. Served up on a plate, no less, along with a heavy helping of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although to see him here chatting it up with Luxborn's rich and famous isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca, I just saw someone I need to catch up with. Longtime friend.
What the shit is going on here?
Oh, wait, Ash, what about...
This won't be long. Be careful while I'm gone, okay?
Hey, be careful! About what
I don't want to draw attention to myself either. At least not until he's given me proper reason to spoil his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
For now, the best I can do is wait, blend in the crowd, and remain inconspicuous to cast less suspicions on myself. Zach and Rebecca too, as much as possible. Even if it means having to pretend I don't know them and forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like. I can't involve them, especially with the added risk of having Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. Wandering is out of the question this early as well, when there are guards and civvies stationed here and there to make sure nosy guests don't go about unattended. Going past them is something I can do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about. It'll be best to try and do so when there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designer's drunken claims are to be believed.
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It's all come down to how well I'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack Luke Wright, or something to prove my suspicions wrong, either or. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had an inkling before, a few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears, in spite of his rank in the force. But one does not simply deal with the Wrights and get invited to a party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or the other way around. So with the last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom where the party is at. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time the party comes into full swing, night is fallen, and yet there still isn't a Luke Wright in sight. I'm aware, and likely the rest of the upper class Luxborn, how ostentatious the man can be. Frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hors d'oeuvres I got my hands on and stuffed my face with during the wait. I probably had too many deviled eggs and full au vent as it is. The servers are already giving me a stink eye every time I saunter over the buffet table. Blame your employer, not me. He's the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guests' idle talk is concentrated in this area. Since I'll be stuck in this ballroom for a while, I might as well keep an ear out for any useful info or gossip I let slip. Despite staying in the same room with the very people they're whispering about, some just can't resist.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem?
Tech problem.
It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
He might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slammed with these past months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings, I wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if Scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out.
I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened.
Fair. Glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
This kind of negligence is always an advantage for me. However, at times I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing so. Having sharp ears also mean hearing the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week? One person's motive for bashing another's skull against a wall, or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive. Those sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring. You get desensitized at some point, yes, but humans can be downright awful. Sometimes there just isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine I have on hand is a no-go tonight, mostly for show. I'm up for another drive later, for one, and I definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this, no matter how routine and peaceful things may be. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt, the second I shift my eyes to a corner of the ballroom. There, Rebecca stands right next to
Hannah Wright.
Some will point out I'm acting a touch bit paranoid, and maybe I am. This is a party and she's the hostess. It goes to say she'll take time to mingle with her guests. But Hannah Wright, née Evans, isn't a woman without her fair share of accolades, at least to the public she isn't. Unlike her spouse, she's the one with the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company, or effectively hide whatever irregularity there might be. Although she's clean as far as my agents and I have found, it doesn't rule out her possible involvement with whatever her husband's up to. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean according to previous reports until I bothered to take a deeper look into it. The official records may say otherwise, but people will be surprised by how much a random busybody knows about their employer. What I've gleaned may not be sufficient to bring anyone to trial yet, but enough to nurture suspicion. Assuming the worst may be a bit of an overreaction as I walk calmly towards them, but one doesn't last as long as I have in my line of work by being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Just some small talk then, nothing to be worried about like I initially thought. In fact, she's probably even more careful with her appearances than her own husband. Knows how to handle herself in front of so many potential witnesses, having grown up with a spotlight focused on her. Yet even knowing that, the anxiety stays. It has been there since the party started, thinking about it. I've brushed it off earlier. Who wouldn't feel edgy, right? I've gone undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That in itself is risky, has so plenty of room for error. Usually, though, the tension passes around the first half hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second I spend here, it only grows heavier, seeking to overwhelm. An odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. Yes, people will be looking at me no matter how small or big of a blip I am on their radar. That's what they do in these things. After all, I'm someone they barely know, hardly belonging in their world. I stand out for one reason or another. I shall already be used to it because of my training. When the feeling of eyes burning into the back, in my back lingers longer than necessary, I know something is wrong. I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit guilty of the act. No luck. No matter my efforts to push the decision as far down as I can, it really bothers me. Pinpricks sting in the back of my head, the ghost of a cold touch crawling, creeping up my limbs. Until I switch my gaze back to Rebecca and Hannah Wright. She stands there, dark-haired and dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb from the rest of the room. Even so, no one seems to notice. Though she's not looking straight back at me, her mere existence here strikes. Disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision binds, while I simply stand stock still and gape at her like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence until another guest bumps into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I've been holding my breath. Before I can figure out what has happened, she's gone. Even if it's only for a split second, she's out of my line of sight. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy thing like this. She would have been hauled out of here before she can say Jack Robinson. What has the security been doing? Are the security they hired really that incompetent for someone so distinct to easily get in without notice? None of these snooty rich people have been affected by her presence either. There should have been an outcry about a dirty beggar by now, particularly from the host. She's been staying almost an arm length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues her talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Is there something in the food then? That I'm starting to see things. It couldn't have been the wine though. I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped off my car. I didn't even take a single sip, despite taking a glass off the buffet on my third trip back. The hors d'oeuvres? I've had so much after all. But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Wright want to do that? He's fishy though. I can't see why he'll ever think it'll be a good idea to lace food he'll serve at his party. With a high-ranking police officer like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. He's been linked to narcotics trade, yep, however this is above him, that much I can tell. Unless there's a mass murder waiting to happen here tonight. Morbid thoughts aside, I don't feel any different. Can't tick off any symptoms of a hallucinogen in my system. Nobody else from the crowd looks like they've been doped up as well, and we've all been eating the same food. Both Rebecca and Zach appear to be fine to me. So,
What the fuck was that?
I really can't put it more eloquently than that. But there's no time to pull apart the meat of this mystery. Now when a telling silence comes upon the room, draws everybody's attention to the main doors of the ballroom. where finally Luke Wright decides to grace us lowly peasants with his noble existence.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that, I've heard stories from previous officers who has tackled this investigation. None of them are pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark yet. Pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright's good at covering what shady stuff he is doing, he's shown to be a real rotten guy. At least that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases the guy can be pinned with during the time I've been watching him. Fuck, he even tried to make a move on Isabella back in the open house, right in front of his wife. Staying in the same room as him now doesn't make me want to punch him any less. Actually, the urge is stronger this time, but protocols. My case first and foremost. My own opinion of the man shouldn't get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him in his place, it'll be in a court with all proper charges filed against him. I'll only be able to progress to that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd that has gathered around him. Amidst the cheers and claps, now is as good a time as any to move. Try to find that something the McCullough woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slimeball himself. A fake smile is plastered on my face while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossiping about him, all while slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I can get any further, the whole drama starts.
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their mess. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even greater problem out of it and it just blows up in everybody's faces one way or another. Becomes a chaotic wreck involving the media and every muckraker the story will reach. Fun.
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
Not even a few seconds in, and this has already proven itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You can just go to one of these and see the action unfold in real life. You get free food too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, every mistake he might make or words he might accidentally spill, even through the whole sorry tale. Hell, although I've already lost my chance because of this whole thing might still tell me something that will turn into a breakthrough for the case. This may be just what I need, really, instead of trying to sneak about. Odds are security's all the tighter now, the guard's on the edge for any other person who'll try to take advantage of this. Damn, I should have left a half hour in. Still, if nothing from this, well shit, back to square one. Time to head back to where Shirley is and start thinking about my other options. No use staying longer if there isn't anything. For now, I wait. I listen. I observe. Interesting, isn't it, though? The Chief Inspector's wife. The morning after starts off quiet. With the commotion from the night before, it's a little too surprising having to wake up this well-rested. Even the whole of Salem Residences seems unusually still, the open hallway when I step out for a stretch, devoid of tenants out for the usual morning sweep of the grounds. No sounds coming from the other units either, or signs of other people just waking up. It's almost as if something's brewing on the horizon. A peaceful night's sleep still does wonders for the mood, though. I have Rebecca's unbelievably comfortable couch to thank for that, I guess. No offense meant to Zach's couch, of course. It really is cozy, comparatively speaking. I can't remember the last time I slept without anything urgent interrupting. It's a nice break from all the bad news lately. If it isn't for the intermittent buzzing from my pocket waking me up, I'll readily sleep in, just to catch a few extra minutes of shut-eye. The ringing had stopped before I could move somewhere private, but sleep has also been effectively kicked out of my system by then. Pity. I can use a little more rest until I have to face the other storm I created last night. Of course, I owe Rebecca an explanation. It doesn't matter if it's the whole truth or another hastily spun tale. Although I haven't really figured out the what and the how part yet. Unlike Zach and Isabella, who don't usually ask further questions and are content with what little I can share, Rebecca's rather quick on the trigger. Those Nancy Blue games we used to play as children, she's taken well to them. Not to the same degree as I have, but still, keen enough to figure things out. It will have to be set aside for later, though. A second soon, my phone rings again, cutting off the rest of my thoughts.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy.
So there you go. Chief Inspector Lee's name flashes on the screen. Sad. Would have been nice to just chill after last night, or maybe half listen to the news. Sure, it's the same thing I've been hearing lately. Still, beat staying out in the chilly Luxborn morning, not fun with my boss. By the way, notice this phone actually has cracks compared to the other guys. Sighing, I answered, if only to get it over with. To hear him so grumpy, however. Now that's something I haven't expected from him at this hour.
Wright, where are you right now?
Sounds like someone got in a few drinks last night and is suffering for it in the morning. Just thinking about how this will go gives me a headache. Immediately I reach up for a hand and pinch the bridge of my nose to stave it off.
This is why I won't ever drink myself senseless.
What was that?
Nothing, Chief. A pleasant morning to you, too.
Now see, if you want to be a real bastard, you have to scream to the phone, "Huh? I can't hear you." That way you actually have a reason to really mess with his hangover. So yes, if you ever have someone pissed off, well, it has you pissed off and you want to really stick it to them when they're hungover, that's how you do it. He's probably calling to rag on me or complain about what happened with his wife. Which is really none of my business until it affects my case. Seems like the usual rich man cheats on wife deal. Although I would have chosen to follow up on it if it were somebody else's wife. But figuring it's the Chief's, hey, I trust him to come clean if the missus is related to the Wright's shady dealings. This is why I left before they even hauled the woman out last night. I'm not going to go around investigating cheating husbands and wives when it's probably just that. Chief appears to have a different idea in mind, though.
There's nothing pleasant in the morning. Anyway, where are you? I told you millions of times before to keep your lines open.
He did, and not only him. Zach, Rebecca, Isabella, and all of them said the same thing numerous times in the past. But I was undercover last night. A phone call is the last thing I want to happen when there are other things I need to focus on at the time. Besides, we have the radios and the work-issued phones. Why isn't he calling me through those if this is urgent?
Just woke up, sir. As awesome as it is to hear your voice this morning, it really is early. If you could give me a few minutes just to wake myself up, that'd be swell.
No need for that. This won't take long.
Is something wrong? Am I needed at the precinct ASAP?
Oh no, everything's good over there. Just... Look, kid. Pray. Don't take this personally, alright? You're off the Luxborn firm case. Starting today.
Well, I did not expect to hear that either. This must be some kind of a cosmic joke. I allow some awkward seconds to pass. Chief must be playing another one of his awful pranks. Out of his bad mood or severe hangover, maybe. That conclusion doesn't take too much brain power. Everyone knows that when given the chance, he exercises no control with his drinking. If it isn't for his wife causing a stir, he'll probably be trashed an hour in at the party. He has likely drank more after they've thrown her out of the ballroom. Besides, his sense of humor has never been good. It's just infuriating most of the time. But when he doesn't follow it up... If I sound a tiny bit frustrated speaking to my own superior, I'm not the one to blame.
Wait, no. What? Are you kidding, Chief? Is this one of your practical jokes again? The temps won't say anything about it, but
It's not that. They're orders. From the higher-ups.
Ah, the higher-ups. Yes, my favorite word. Since when has the higher-ups ever cared about the Criminal Investigation Department did? As far as I can tell, they don't give a hoot if CID is filled with cold cases as long as we keep the spending low. When I need to view those old case files, though, they're locked away in the archives, you're gonna have to check with the higher-ups. I need access to those reports, see if the higher-ups will allow it. Every step, every move in this case, there isn't one that hasn't been gated by some authority. If it's not the chief, it's the commissioner, or so they always tell me. It makes one wonder why they bother assigning it to anyone. Not a single one of them has done anything to help move the case. And they wonder why it's taken this long for even a hint of progress to show.
you can't just drop this on me. You can't just take me off like that.
Yes, I can. And I'm sorry, Ashton. You're a good detective. One of the best I've seen in years, but
3 years, Chief. 3 years.
3 years since that anonymous tech leak blew up. Since Luke Wright's name has been openly linked to several nasty dealings within Luxborn's corporate world, some of them involving deaths. 3 years, and I'm the only one who has made it this far. Made much progress officers with more experience have been able to do when they handled this case. Just within a year, and with barely any help from the damn brass at that. Of course I'll be pissed.
Do you know what would have happened if I didn't work my ass off on this thing? If I didn't dedicate a whole year of my time on it? It would have gone cold, like every fucking case Luke Wright has been linked to. I saved this from getting thrown into the archives, sir. I'm getting close. If you could just...
I'm fully aware of what you've done, Frey. But the Commissioner hasn't been happy with your progress. Still too slow by their standards.
Too slow? Well, what about those reports I filed? I've documented every freaking thing for them. I've given you every important lead I can gather. Isn't that enough?
They need results, not a bunch of research papers. Not one baseless assumption after another. Concrete proof, Frey. I'm really sorry. They've already made a decision. They're going to pass this on to someone who's been in the force longer. Someone who has more experience.
Someone who has more experience?
They meant nothing by it, but you're still too young to work on a case this big.
Chief, I've already done more than what those old farts ever did behind their desks. All of it, within just a year of being assigned to this.
Watch your language, Frey. Those are your superiors,
I'm not some damn rookie fresh out of training. I'm as qualified as they are.
Futile, I know it is. They'll never say it within earshot, but from the very minute I stepped into their precinct, the lot of them has underestimated me, from their stares alone to the assignments I get. To them I'm still just a kid, too young, too green, too inexperienced. Once they pull that card on me, every argument I have gets thrown out the window, no matter how logical it is. No matter how much I've accomplished, what the records say, or the amount of work I've put on every investigation they've thrown my way.
We're all aware of your skills, kid. You wouldn't have that badge and rank if you weren't good enough. However, this case is just not for you. Too high profile, too risky to put a good officer like you in harm's way.
Can he even hear himself? The reasoning is odd in itself. No one joins this line of work without knowing the dangers of it.
Don't I get a second chance? You said it yourself. I'm a good detective. It'll just be a matter of time before we can close this.
It doesn't matter what I think, Frey. You're off the case, and that's final. I expect all related files and documents on my desk by Monday morning. And don't even try to go touch anything. I know how hard-headed and determined you are.
Chief, please. A few more weeks. I'll have the proper evidence left on your desk by then. I swear it won't take longer than that.
Fred, it's too late, boy. I've already informed the other officers. You aren't to be allowed access until you've been given a new assignment. Help just keep out of the precinct, Fred. Take the weekend off.
Seriously, Chief, is this about last night? If this is about me being at that party, I have a good reason for...
You were at the party.
It makes me pause. His wary tone, the sudden careful note in his voice. Slowly a frown forms on my face, my brows knitting together in confusion. Much as I hate to say this about my own boss, there's also suspicion in it. Hard not to think of it that way, seeing how he acted around Hannah Wright last night. Is he worried? But why should he be? Everyone who's anyone was invited. Granted, his presence spouts plenty of questions, but I didn't doubt for 1 second why he received one. There's something wrong, and I've unintentionally walked into it, in the process of saving all the work I've been doing. Who knows, though? All I have is this sneaking suspicion, but when one looks at it from a different angle, put everything together. Why the hell I've been taken off this case might be for the same reason he's in there in the first place. Fuck.
Yes, Chief, I was. For a good reason. A friend invited me to go with her. What were you doing there? I know we don't have a strict rule against attending functions, but that was...
He coughs. It almost sounds like he's choking on his own excuses, lies. I don't want to accuse him of anything, yet. He's someone I've respected since I joined LPD, even with his bizarre sense of humor and tendency to procrastinate. He's obviously competent enough to get the job done. He won't be Chief Inspector of Luxmore Police if he isn't. He won't last years in service without some track record backing him. Unless that too is a fluke. And what's backing him is not something, but someone. Oh. Oh shit. Fucking hell. Fucking shit.
Chief Harvey, about last night with the...
Why does it matter, Frey? This isn't about that.
What does it matter? What does it matter? I'll recite the whole oath we've taken upon being sworn into service if I can, but at this point it seems too late to remind him of that. He's probably already moved from serving and protecting people to serving and protecting his own interests. Damn it. I've suspected the upper brass of this, even the lower-rank subordinates of the force, but for my own boss? Shit, no wonder that leak didn't lead anywhere. Someone closer might have been pulling the strings. I might have been set up to fail long before the fucking case has been assigned to me. But I don't want to just give this up. I don't want to believe I wasted an entire year for this. I don't want to be the kind of news to tell. I don't want this to be the kind of news to tell Professor Clark after all those promises I've given the man. I don't want this to end here, if this might still have a connection with what happened to Isabella like I initially assumed. Chasing a real person is easier than chasing those supernatural things, and I hope to God I'm right on this one.
I just want to know, sir, at the party, with Luke and Hannah Wright, you were...
Monday, Detective Inspector. First thing in the morning. Every copy of the files you have, I want to see it all on my table, understood?
This isn't...
Frey, am I understood?
What else can I do other than smile and nod? With my own superior expecting an answer using that tone, brushing my questions off as easy as discarding a dead body.
Yes. Yes, sir.
He cuts the line as soon as the words are out. You're off the case, Frey, just like that. Funny though, why this has still caught me off guard. I've discovered years ago how different the actual thing is, how far from reality everything I believed in as a dreary-eyed kid. There are no high-speed pursuits every day, no thrilling gunfights or exciting cases every step of the way. Only paperwork, lots of red tape, and dealing with the politics and bureaucracy. I've set out to change things, hoping it'll make things better for the people I care about. It ends up changing me instead. Serves me right, I guess, for being too idealistic. Probably telling me it's better to remain the skeptic I really am. Now here I am, standing useless. Can't even do anything but grit my teeth and kick the wall as the line finally goes dead. The bastard didn't even acknowledge my response.
What did the poor wall ever do to you?
It figures Rebecca will be the one to find me in this embarrassing state. Honestly, I don't like it when she sees me like this, which seems to happen a lot regardless of what I want.
Rebecca, now's not a good time.
The concern I expect from her when I turn isn't there, however. Instead, she just looks annoyed. The storm we left brewing last night, it's right there in her face, ready to be unleashed.
When is it ever a good time for you? You're always so busy with everything now. Now I find you here, sneaking out without even bothering with a proper goodbye. Not even a word. Really, I'm starting to think you're just keeping me around for my couch and my cooking.
Becca, it's not what you're thinking. I wasn't planning on sneaking out. I was going to say goodbye. I just had to take this call. Although, I'm not gonna lie, couch is great. 10 out of 10, would sleep again.
Stop it with the jokes, Ashton. I'm not in the mood.
The bitterness in her voice is not lost on me. But at this point, our friendship in our lives, how does she still expect me to answer that? What am I supposed to tell her now?
Are you still mad about last night?
She merely raises an eyebrow at me, which to be honest is all the response I need. Seeing her like this, very clearly ticked off, makes me believe those things Z-Man says. The part where Rebecca scares him sometimes. I've certainly seen this more than once already. But the familiarity in it doesn't take away from the downhill turn this conversation is starting to take. Only an awkward cough serves as a brief way to stall.
Okay, of course you're still mad. But whatever happened last night, I really am sorry. I'll apologize as many times as you want. If you want, I'd even kneel or something.
Ashton, an apology is nice and all, but that's not what I wanted to hear from you today. You know that full well.
All right, fine, okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know. I've honestly lost track of it by your third trip to the buffet table.
I wasn't... The drive up there took a bit. Can you blame me if I wanted to grab some appetizers?
Oh, come on, Ash. For the whole evening? For the whole party?
Well, he might not get paid that well.
Please don't tell me that's all you did, because I've never known you as someone who pigs out. You even took great lengths to avoid me. Should I also mention how you ignored Zach? Sometimes I get the feeling you don't want to be seen with us out in public. Some friendship, huh?
You know it's not like that. It's never going to be like that, Becca.
Maybe you even just used me to get into the party. You said yes to being my +1, but you were rather excited to just peel yourself off, weren't you? Honestly, I'm feeling a bit used.
I can't even look her in the eye. It's not that I lied to her. I honestly wanted to be there, to keep Zach safe, to keep Rebecca safe. Just in case. Client or family friend, it's still a party hosted by a person of interest, by a man accused years ago of murdering a person's wife to get what he wants. But then Chief showed up, Hannah Wright happened, and Luke Wright just can't be bothered to die off peacefully somewhere. All of a sudden, none of my original reasons matter. If I was found out right then and there, hell, if Zach and Rebecca's connection with me was found out, who knows what could happen. But Rebecca doesn't understand that. Doesn't understand what I can and can't say to keep them from harm. It's all in her eyes, in the tight line of her lips and her furrowed brows. The hurt.
I'll ask this again. Just what were you up to during the party? What were you doing that you couldn't even take 2 seconds to make time for your friends?
This day is just off to a wonderful start. First my case, now Becca. How do I even go about this? None of your damn business, woman.
It's confidential, Rebecca.
I wonder how many times I've told her that. And not just her. My dad, my mom, Zach and Isabella too, when their questions sometimes call for a quick diversion. To make sure they're all safe, to keep them out of danger. How many times have I told them when it essentially boiled down to mind your own business? My job isn't a game. It isn't as glamorous as TV portrays it to be. I had thought so too as a child. I was so clueless back then, wasn't I? But boy, did I learn. Sometimes we do get daring chases and spectacular busts. Those days when adrenaline runs through our veins makes the bullshit that Hollywood shows feel real. It isn't always as clean-cut as that, of course. You can never know how an operation might go. If we're lucky, we put the culprit behind bars. But it's mostly bad news. If the universe feels a tad bit antagonistic, there'll be plenty of closed cases, dead ends, and dead bodies at our disposal. The good guys don't always win. Justice isn't always served. Investigation is not looking at a crime scene once to get a eureka moment. It's sleepless nights at the crime labs with the tech guys. It's several days wearing the same clothes with Chinese takeout stains because I'm staking out a place. It's frustration when bureaucracy hinders you from looking into a case any further, or when you know the suspect is guilty, but they get away scot-free on a technicality. It's seeing anger and pain and despair with every case. It's the knowledge that catching the criminal won't bring back the dead, won't suddenly make everything right again. Facing a crapload of paperwork is what we consider a good day.
I know you have a mountain of questions, but I've told you this so many times before. I can't say much more than that.
Still, the look on Rebecca's face, the resentment and the pain. It hurts me as well to think that I'm the cause of that. It's a familiar one too, something I've seen a lot over the years. I wonder how long it'll take until Zach starts giving me the same one. Hell, I've already failed Isabella. Even with no longer any life in them, her eyes still seem to stare at me with the same accusation. What a mess. I'm a mess. It's the people close to me who have to suffer for it.
Official police business, huh? So you did use me?
Used. The way she utters it just makes me feel like a total scumbag. It's not like I did it all on purpose. I can't just hold someone else responsible for this, right? Who am I going to blame? The chief? Hannah Wright? Luke Wright? Doing so feels like cowardice. It doesn't change the fact that I'm the one who put us in this situation. I can't even look at her anymore with this guilt eating me up inside. But then she laughs. Half-hearted, with barely a hint of cheer in it, but it's a laugh nevertheless. I honestly don't know what to make of that. What to do with myself upon hearing it. It's almost like the mere sound of it is meant to pierce.
The least you could have done is tell me. Maybe I could have helped. Kept an ear and an eye out for you. I don't know. I could have been Irene Adler, maybe?
Her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes, but the mask. She tries so hard for me. Putting putting up with me like this, I have to give her a smile back, though I imagine it comes off in the same unenthusiastic note as hers. It's far easier to slip back to banter when it's like this, to just brush off and set aside everything. At least this way, we wouldn't have to deal with the awful things.
The woman? Don't flatter yourself. Nancy Blue, more like.
Her sidekick would beg to differ, Ashit.
I can't stop a wry grin from forming in my lips. She probably still has the photo from that contest, keeps it in her old diary. I can never find either of the two anymore now that after I've threatened to burn it. I've never brought it up again in the hope she'll just forget about the whole thing. But the small smile on her face says a lot. Those were good times. A lot simpler, a lot more peaceful. Now things have changed. We're no longer the same people we were as kids. Growing up together doesn't mean it always has to be just the two of us in the first place. It's a dumb notion to believe in when nothing ever remains constant. Things will inevitably change throughout the years. In fact, it already has long ago. Not just with the people we allowed into our respective lives, but also within us as a person, as friends. It really does get complicated as we get older, doesn't it? Not everything has to be, though. Even if it'll take form in a promise, I have no idea when I'll be able to fulfill.
I swear, I'll explain when it's all over.
The silence afterwards brings an even heavier air between us. Something Rebecca thankfully doesn't allow to linger more than necessary.
I suppose you have to go now, huh?
The situation is already awkward as it is. Prolonging will only make it more... what? Difficult? Messed up. As if it isn't already. In some way, the lack of words is already an understanding in itself. That's better to leave things for now and talk about it when the wounds are no longer fresh in our minds. At least it's something we both outwardly agree at this moment.
Back to your case again?
I don't really have to. I have no case. As far as the job's concerned, I have the weekend off until I have to report to Chief on Monday. Although I don't want to just throw in the towel on this, orders are orders. This isn't like the movies. I don't get to say fuck off, throw my gun and badge at him, then become some vigilante, save the day, and get my job back. I'll sooner get my ass thrown in jail than do any of that. But it's also not in my nature to sit still and do nothing. It'll drive me crazy if I just idle about. Besides, Professor Clark has to know about this whole Luke Wright thing.
Yeah, I need to go talk to Professor Clark. And there's something else I need to look into.
The other matter she mentioned last night specifically. Things even the news have been blasting out to the general populace lately. Evening, afternoon, morning, all deaths with the same modus, blamed on a single serial killer. Or is it still the case?
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxborn police.
Frankly, there's only one lead we have on it at this moment. All the crime scenes where the victims have been found have also been vandalized with the same message as that letter. It is something, though nothing substantial to go by. Granted, I can bring up the letter Isabella found in the mansion, but chances are they will just pass it off as a coincidence. And coincidence is never substantial, never enough in my work. There must be something we haven't seen yet, and the culprit has simply exploited these urban legends to hide his crimes. Relatively speaking, we're grasping at straws as far as these murders are concerned. I'm not even the one heading this investigation, yet look at me treated as if it's another high-profile case on my shoulder. How sad is that? Even LPD doesn't have an inkling on what we're supposed to be looking for here. Although all three of my friends have mentioned seeing something strange, I don't want to go into that line of thinking for now. Particularly with how much every news outlet has blown this up. Not yet. Not until I've exhausted every logical reasoning and argument I can throw at it. To tell the truth, though, I don't know how to take all of this anymore. But looking at the closed door of Isabella's apartment, I can't bring myself not to act. And after Rebecca's claims last night, if I lose another person important to me because I didn't listen, there wouldn't be enough regret in the world. Fuck, I can still see her lifeless eyes staring back at me.
Well, glad to hear you're talking to someone, at least. Even if it's not me. You sure you're not bothering the professor or anything? Don't you be a cheeky brat now. I'm sure he's a very busy man. You pointed that out yourself last night.
Becca, even if he is, you know he'll make time for me. I'm his favorite after all, aren't I?
An attempt to keep things light again. Bad move, apparently. All I get in response to that is a roll of her eyes and a door shut in my face.
I probably deserve that.
We're just gonna have to mend this some other time. By then, her temper's sure to have cooled off significantly. Hopefully. For now, I can't laze around. Gotta attend to things that matter more. Find Professor Clark first, deliver the bad news, then maybe I'll also drop by Zach's. Check on him, hear what he has to say. He's also read that damn letter. I might as well, while I'm here, playing a paranormal detective. Or was it supernatural? I can't remember. This certainly isn't something I'll bother with on my free day. I'm going to be a laughingstock at the precinct if anyone finds out I'm considering this as a possible angle for these murders. Inspector Abigail and Officer Carl, mostly. Whatever, it won't hurt if I try to get to the bottom of this. No one has to know either. If nothing good comes out of it, then good. Everyone can shut up about stupid curses and we can finally get back on track with our lives. On to more important stuff. If there is something.
I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
And so, with the last deep draw of breath, I step out into the morning, casting my own problems away for now whilst carrying a new set of uncertainties within me. If I'm lucky and Professor Clark has no other obligations today, I know just where to find him. He's usually at the park on late Saturday mornings, as long as it isn't raining cats and dogs. Keeps him young and healthy, he says, and he's certainly fit for a man of his age with a sedentary job. The place is only a few minutes off from Salemwell and gets plenty of foot traffic when it isn't drizzling. Now is as good a time as any to get a few miles in. We've been having rather odd, pleasantly sunny days as opposed to the usual gloomy, rainy Luxborn ones after all. If you want to run on pavement rather than on the treadmill or without going home sopping wet, might as well take advantage of the strange weather. And like I've expected, it's not just those going for a run who's of the same mind. A moderate crowd dots the span of the park grounds by the hour I arrive. People walking their dogs, kids playing a game of tag, and a few others who are simply content to lay about in their blankets with a book in hand. Cheers and laughter, mostly from children and families, lends the place with a kind of warm atmosphere. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of that. No use dwelling on the could-haves when it's already been done. Mom's doing well with her career, Dad's also fond the last time we visited, although neither are married, they're both content with where their lives are at. I'm probably the only one still caught up with it, hence my aversion. But all in all, it's still a pleasant sight to see, if you're the kind who takes joy in such sights. Professor Clark is, in true to form, I find him enjoying a walk around the place. He stops as soon as he sees me, a small grin spraying across his face when I near, his hand raised in casual greeting.
Not running today, Professor?
Ho, no, not today. Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again. And to what do I owe the pleasure?
The guy certainly looks happy right now. In any case, I almost don't want to break the news to him. The smile on him, I don't want to ruin that. But it's better to get this off quick as long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type. However, long-held resentment can change a person, even someone as mild mannered as the professor.
Maybe we should sit down first.
With a slight gesture in my hand, I lead the two of us to a nearby bench, away from anyone who might want to listen in. Not that there's much to hear, it's just for the sake of his privacy. He's had enough of the city's tattlers 10 years ago. There's definitely no need to feed more fuel to a fire that has already died down years ago. I wait for him to take the empty space beside me before starting. Instead, he spares a moment to give me a once-over, quiet and unblinking during his scrutiny. The way he looks at me reminds me of all those times he has done so back at the university. I try not to flinch meanwhile. Once he's done, he simply raises a hand, reaching up to correct his glasses. A habit, as I've learned many years ago. He does that once he's found what he's searching for, a nervous tick or an odd stain on one's person. Something to tell him about the one in front of him. The art of keen observation, I learned it from this man. It's likely he already has an idea what this might be about from my appearance and expression alone. Despite this, he allows me to speak first and wordlessly takes the open seat, a smile still on his face as he watches the scene in front of us. Funny how simply the world goes on, while we sit here with a shadow looming over us.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just the downer today. As soon as I say those words, a look of concern replaces the cheery expression on his face.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
For a second I hesitate, looking at the dirt beneath my shoes, but I manage eventually. After a long, ragged draw of breath, I pick up where I left off, though still fumbling with my phrasing.
Well, I'm in a bit of trouble, if you can call it that.
He quickly raises a questioning brow at that.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
You've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector. Those circles under your eyes and your slouch tell a different story.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. But all he gives me is a small sigh of relief.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she saw you like this right now.
Liz. Aunt Liz, she insisted I call her. His late wife. A sweet-tempered woman by so many standards, never blessed with kids and contented herself with simply managing their newly opened bakery. But she's the closest I had to a mom for the few years I had known her, the professor too. In the absence of my own parents in my life, the two filled the ache their separation left in me.
Believe me, you'll get an earful if you show up looking like that on her doorstep.
How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly. Two men, primly dressed, briefcases in hand, and a stern look on each of their faces. They had been a frequent visitor to the bakery in the months prior. Something about the lot being a prime property in downtown Luxborn. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither of the couple gave in to their demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them after all. Aunt Liz sent me home early that day after a fruitless wait for the professor. The next morning, news of a bakery raised to the ground has spread across the whole city. One casualty. A few weeks later, the property was sold to Wright Enterprise. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Of course, an investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well, however I can tell he hates that man to this day. It won't be too much of a stretch to think he might blame Luke Wright for every tragedy that happens in the city. He has never blamed me, though, when I'm equally as responsible. I knew something's off the moment those men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night. I could have prevented anything from happening to her, called for help or whatever. I didn't. So it continues to eat at me until today. The guilt. The Luxborn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case, if we can prove Luke Wright of his crimes. Instead, we're back to square one. Yet all he has for me are words of comfort. To think he can still be this concerned about me after my carelessness, after I've broken another promise a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me. And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him. Goodness knows what awful things he's done. But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I'd hate to get news like that again.
He stops. A thoughtful look flashes in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his ring finger before he continues. Another habit. He has never removed it since that day, has never thought once to remarry. Even if he managed to continue with his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her, I suppose, when he can't even bring the man responsible for his loss to justice. Needless to say, some people are just hard to forget. We're on the same mind at that point.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence falls between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. Should I apologize? Show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought of something other than just breaking the news to him. As it is, it seems the only thing we can do is feel sorry for each other's misfortunes. In another occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted that, but...
And I don't know if I've told you yet, but the one in the news recently, the girl, she was the one you kept mentioning before, yes? The girl you frequently hang out with. They said she briefly worked for them, as their real estate agent for the mansion. I've just heard about it. Although, for what it's worth, I'm sorry about what happened to your friend. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but if this is that man's doing...
Professor, please.
They come out more strained than usual, more than what I'm accustomed to when speaking to the older man. It's what the burden of guilt does, I suppose. The knowing, the awareness that I could have done plenty of steps to prevent anything from happening. Maybe if things around me hasn't started going beyond my control, the letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those, I'll still be quick to blame it all on the bastard too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, to add another to his list of sins...
Please don't finish that.
All this time I've prided myself over being the one to always know. I'm not so sure anymore. It seems to be far from the case now. Ghosts and curses? These are things completely out of my depth. I'll ask the professor, that's his area, albeit from a cultural and psychological standpoint. But how much of an insensitive jerk can I be, to ask for assistance while giving him none of my own? I don't even know how much of this I can look into. Before, these are just the stuff of legends, stories. Professor Clark's right in some way. This will be so much easier if Luke Wright is to be blamed for all this. At least finding evidence for that will be a breeze for me, and I'll be all too happy to put him in a place he deserves. Although if he is, in any way, also complicit to what has happened to her, legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I missed the ticket of closing the case once and for all last night. If only I've done a better job during the party. But then, the commotion. There was Hannah, Wright, and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'll include that gatecrasher stand between them as well, even though it's only for a moment. So many things have gone wrong last night that I've lost my focus and... Hold on.
This isn't a prank! I saw something! See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys. It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Last night at the party.
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
That woman.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
Shit. If that's what Isabella's been warning us about, if it's the same ghost Rebecca talked about last night, how many of these instances have I dismissed since reading the letter? How many have I passed off because of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, a hallucinogen lacing the food was the first thing I considered as the culprit for what I've seen. Purely because that's what my training dictates. It's what I've grown used to. It's the setting the gears in my head automatically takes in a situation like that. Of course, in spite of these suspicions, I'm not discounting all of that yet until I have enough information. Something to form a conclusion, proof in whatever form it may come. But thinking straight is impossible when all of a sudden all of your beliefs are being upturned. In the most violent way possible at that. Cognitive dissonance at its finest. Jesus, I need a sounding board. I need to talk to someone and Zach's the best person for that.
I have to go.
Already? Wait, Ashton, where are you?
I don't have time to say any more than that. No time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I bolt up and run like a bat out of hell. Getting back to my car in record time, I don't waste even a second to hit the road and head to Zach's place. If any one of us knows anything about what's going on, who can help sort the muddled mess my mind is? It's gotta be him. He listened to Isabella.